All right, so thanks everybody for joining us today. We're excited to have you with us. My name is Jason Hubbard. I run marketing for Protoscore. We have Denise Hazim from Protoscore, who's going to be running us through the webinar today. And then we also have Chris Moore, who's head of strategic partnerships with Vonage, with us today to answer any questions or going into any greater detail about the way Protoscore pulls in data and works with Vonage. So Denise, I'll hand it over to you now.
Thanks so much, Jason. Thank you, everyone, for joining today's webinar. Today we have a very interesting topic and one that can definitely help any business that's looking to understand how AI, or more importantly, machine learning, can help your business. And we're going to be doing that, showing you machine learning and voice communications and how you can really gain insight into what's going on with your organization. Protoscore provides actionable analytics through machine learning. And Protoscore is built on Google's cloud platform and uses Google's machine learning to bring you this information. So it goes hand in hand with Google and G Suite. One component that is very important to the information that's being gathered is voice communications. And Vonage is one of the VoIP providers that really ties into Protoscore and has the tools necessary to gather and help a business run their business using the best communication tools. Now, Protoscore is a machine. It is gathering data from all different sources within your organization, from Gmail, from Calendar, from your Drive activities, from your voice system, from CRM, from your docs. So it's really a processing machine that is nonstop gathering information. And the more information that exists within these systems, the more powerful the data that can be analyzed. So it's really important to get your employees to use these systems. But that's also one of the biggest pain points of a lot of organizations is adoption. How do you get your employees to use your voice system? A lot of them may rather use their phone, their cell phone, right, instead of using their desk phone, or they're on the go and just using their cell phone is the easiest option. Well, voice communication providers like Vonage have now provided tools that allow them to use their cell phone but yet collect that data no matter where they are. And that's one of the things we are highlighting today, how we can really bring in all of these data points to provide you with the best information to help your business. One of the things that Harvard Business Review recently put out a statement that businesses that aggregate multiple sources of data will outperform their competitors. And what does that mean? That means that businesses that can actually tap into this data that exists or should exist within your system are the ones that will gain the competitive edge, because they'll be able to identify what's working and what's not working within their organization to make it better, therefore gaining the competitive edge. Here's an integration story from Vonage. Here are all the different tools that Vonage itself can integrate and tie together. G Suite, Facebook, Salesforce, Nextmo, all of these different tools, they are gathering the data and usage that's going on and existing within these systems. And in turn, Protoscore is taking that data and turning it into actionable analytics. We have a customer, Gatehouse Media, that had a problem. They were on G Suite, on Salesforce, and on Sugar CRM. They had dispersed locations across the United States, over 500 locations. They did not understand how they could possibly gain insight into how each location was functioning without somebody physically having to go there, sit there, monitor, and see what's going on a monthly or quarterly basis. Then they saw ProtoScore, and they said, this is exactly what we're looking for, to gather this data, no matter where the employee was or where the location was, and help us better our business. And this was really a two-step process, because first, what they had to do was get on a UCaaS VoIP system, right? One that they could standardize across the organization. And Vonage was the answer to that problem. Vonage provided desk phones, conferencing, mobile applications. So whether or not the employee was within the physical location or in the field, they were able to use the Vonage phone in order to run their daily business, therefore allowing Gatehouse to collect that data via ProtoScore, which was the second part of the solution, installing and enabling ProtoScore to gather information from G Suite, from Salesforce, from Sugar, and now from Vonage to provide actionable analytics to the decision makers so they can understand how to better their business. And when we talk about machine learning, you know, it encompasses several different components. It encompasses natural language processing, it encompasses sentiment analysis, and it encompasses algorithms, right? So there's a lot of different components to machine learning and how it can actually analyze the data and help your business. So this is just a short, brief deck that I wanted to go through to sort of give you an outline of what we're going to talk about and what I'm going to show you. We're going to jump into actually looking at the product, looking at ProtoScore, and what this tool looks like and how it delivers the information. Here's the dashboard. When you log into ProtoScore, obviously, the first thing you're going to see is the organizational score. And what does this score mean? The score is actually aggregating multiple sources of data: phones, CRM, G Suite, Drive activities, conference calling, chat, and giving you an overall organizational score. But it then further goes on to give you employee scores, so you can see individualized scores of the different employees. Here you'll see this is just a basic dashboard. You can see if the organizational score is increasing or decreasing. You can see where your employees land, if their score is above average, average, or below average. Therefore, getting a one-shot analysis of what's going on within the organization. There's a nice managers tab that shows you the different managers, and then the performance of the different managers and their groups. If you click on any of them, you can see their different employees, their scores, if it's increasing or decreasing, and who they report to. But let's actually look at one of these employees. In the employee tab, you can see here that there are different organizations there are different groups within the organization: admin, sales, operations, etc. And you can look individually at these different groups within the organization, or you can look at the employees as a whole. And when you look at a whole, you can actually see the employees' names, their roles, their managers, their score, and if it's increasing or decreasing. And as a manager, this is a really easy way of identifying if there's any anomalies within the organization. If somebody has a huge drop in their score or a huge increase, what happened there, right? You can look into the data and see what action took place or what action did not take place during that time period. And again, you can identify the time period that you want to look at up here. So you can look at 30 days, you can look at a month, etc. Now, let's look at one employee. Here's an employee, and you'll see it says his name, who he reports to, his score, and if it's increasing or decreasing. And I'm looking at a one-week view. Saturday and Sunday are grayed out. And if we click on one of these days, and obviously there will always be comparisons. So this is showing you data compared to other data, right? So here we see the current 5 days compared to the previous 7 days, right? So here's this Monday, here's last Monday. And if we click on it, you can see the different components, the data that ProtoScore is aggregating to come up with that score of 75. So here you'll see your G Suite activities. So you have Drive, you have Calendar, email, chat, you have your CRM activities, you have your conference calling, and you have your phone system. Now, this information is very important because for several reasons. One, you can identify what your star players are doing to gain their results. So if Joey's my stellar employee and he's always hitting his goals, what activities does he do throughout the day that helps him lead to those results? How much phone time is he spending? How much conference call time? How much calendar events does he have? And you can identify that looking at all the different days of the week. And you can see he had 6 hours of calendar time here, 37 minutes of conference time. He was on the phone almost 2 hours on this day, right? You can see his email activity. You can look at what the employees are doing that's leading to those results, or what they're doing that's not leading to results. So it's a good learning tool to identify what's going on within this group of employees that's working and what's not working. Here you'll see the timeline throughout the day, right? And you can see the different activities that happen through the day. So let's click on the phone system. Here you can see who he called and the duration of the call. What time is he making his phone calls, right? How long is he staying on the phone with the customers? And if these numbers exist within the CRM, they will be identified in this section. So again, you can see who he was talking to, what time he was making his phone calls. And you can see that here in the timeline. If you scroll across, you can see, oh, it looks like, Joey makes his phone calls in the morning. He doesn't really do them in the afternoon. Is that leading to better results? Or maybe Joey made all his phone calls after 2 p.m. Maybe that's a better time to call. So we can identify what actions are happening and what is leading to better results. Again, using machine learning. We can scroll down. Here we can go to, let's go to a different person, and then we can look at maybe some conference call time and what that conference call looks like. So here's a conference call, and you can see, here's an example of sentiment analysis. You can see, was this a positive statement or a negative statement? Looking at the sentiment of the conversation. Is it good? Is it bad? Was it a good conversation, a bad conversation? Is this employee having positive conversations with customers, or are they all negative conversations? That's what sentiment analysis really does. It looks at phone conversations and takes that data and turns out what type of conversations are happening. But it's also using natural language processing to do that as well, right? Identifying the words and what they mean. So again, using machine learning to look at the business and what's happening within the business and identifying, is this good? Is this bad? Does this employee need more training, or are they okay with what they're doing? Are they leading to more positive results, right? Another section we have within ProtoScore here, you'll see correlations. And correlations really allows you to look at natural language processing and what is happening within all of the different components. Here we have a topic section. This is really the section that identifies what's trending within the organization. What are people talking about, right? And in what sense are they using that term? So here you can see, click on the word Google. We can see who was talking about that topic and then in what format. And if you can see here, natural language processing is looking at the actual words that are being used. And if you click on any of these components, you can see the different phone calls being made on those conference calls, who they were with, and at what times were those calls made. Same thing with emails, chat, etc. This section over here identifies contacts outside the domain. Who are the employees talking to most? Which customers outside of the domain are they communicating with? How much time are they spending with those customers? And is it okay? All right. Some customers obviously have different values. Maybe some customers spend $50,000 with your business. we should definitely be contacting and communicating with them. Maybe some customers don't spend as much, but yet there's a lot of communication with that customer. That in that sense, you would say, okay, what's going on here? Why are so many people communicating with this one customer? What's going on, right? Is there something wrong in our process where a small customer is taking up so much time, right? These are different things that we can identify by looking at how much contacts and communication is happening outside the domain. Going back to ProtoScore main page, if we click here, let's look at Joey Maller, look at his timeline. Again, identifying what activities are happening throughout the day. And here you can see his different calendar events. You can see when he's sending out emails. You can see when he's making phone calls, etc. And if there's an event that looks like it may not be something that you want to include in the score, you can actually left click on that event and flag that activity and actually remove it from his score. Therefore, refining what the system is looking at as an actual calendar event and what's not a calendar event. And ProtoScore, again, helps to identify what the employees are doing every day and if there's a drop-off in activity. There was an article that came out in Harvard Business Review talking about machine learning and how it can help your business and how it can help your business reduce churn. And this is one of the ways that we can do that. If an employee's activity has dropped off, you can obviously talk to that employee and say, hey, what's going on here? It looks like maybe you've checked out. We did have a customer that we showed ProtoScore to that had identified that employee that had recently left had stopped sending emails 3 weeks prior to him leaving. And the owner said, you know, if I had ProtoScore installed, I would have gotten an alert that this activity had dropped. And I would have been able to address that with the employee and find out why he wasn't working. And maybe identify, hey, this person needs a raise in order to retain him, or he's not happy for a specific reason. I would have worked to resolve that issue and retain that employee. Because now what happens is I have to go out and find a new employee, train that new employee, and get their pipeline rolling. That's about a 6 to 9 month process. So sometimes it's cheaper to retain existing employees and resolve whatever issues they have than to go out and hire and find new employees, therefore wasting a lot of time that could have been effort into existing goals.
Hey,
so,
I was going to, this is Chris, I just wanted to add in and just give my perspective real quick. So on one thing I wanted to say and why you know, I got very interested in ProtoScore when I first saw it. So I managed a global sales team. So I had teams both in Europe and Asia, and also in many cities over the U.S. And we had a sales ops organization. We used Salesforce to work to manage and effectively doing something similar to ProtoScore, collecting information of what the sales resources were doing in terms of emails sent and entering that data in Salesforce, and then trying to manage the organization is, are they focused on, are they communicating the right message? Are they communicating the right marketing campaign of the week? Are they targeting the accounts that they're supposed to, that are going to drive highest value and drive revenue to the organization? And as many of you may use Salesforce, you need a sort of specialist person in your sales ops organization to create reports and to constantly manage and refine and get the right information to you. And it's basically looking at, if you're lucky, what they've entered, you know, accurately into Salesforce and potentially email information as well. And what I really like about ProtoScore is, number one, super easy to implement. You just need a Gmail address. So you put that in, and there's this canned reporting information that pulls data from basically every interaction that your salesperson or call center, for that matter, is performing. And this is all about, it's actually doing a similar task to what Salesforce does today, but it expands it to a couple of other channels of information. And then it's about a management tool. So it helps you as a manager, and then each layer of management, to really coach employees, looking at how some are doing well and why they're doing well, and then being able to coach other employees of, okay, these are the activities that worked. And it also, and I'm sure everybody on the call has, if you're a sales manager or managing a team, you have the frustrations. You really, even with all the Salesforce reporting, you really don't know if people are really focusing their time on the right areas. And because it's like a bell curve. Some people perform very well, some people don't. ProtoScore helps you identify that bell curve, and where the people are not doing as well, it helps to provide information to enable you to coach those individuals to perform better. And when it comes down to performance, it's all about driving revenue to the business, right, in the most effective way. So that's just kind of a high level, my thinking, or my kind of quick high level overview of where I saw ProtoScore adding value to our business and other businesses that we work with.
No, that's actually great, and actually to your point about the manager reports and the reporting and how it almost is like a pseudo manager. It's funny, Wall Street Journal just came out with an article recently talking about the algorithm and how the algorithm is the new boss, right? And in a way, ProtoScore is like that. It is actually taking this data, looking at it, and giving you the actionable analytics, giving the managers the actionable analytics on how to better improve the performance of their employees. Like you said, what actions are working, which ones are not, which ones are more valuable. In ProtoScore's sense, they weigh phone calls as more valuable than, say, chat lines. Each of these components have different weights within ProtoScore. And obviously, an employee being on a phone call and communicating and conversing with a customer is very important to really any business. And that's why it is weighted more. And that's why it's so important to have a voice system that integrates with these different components, right? One that integrates with G Suite, with the CRM, with conference calling. And that's why Vonage is a great partner, because the integrations that exist, and Vonage system does all of that. It delivers all of these important integrations. So I think it's very important to really transition your business to a voice system that allows employees to not only integrate, but to be mobile, right, and to move around, and to really work from anywhere. And that's also another pain point that ProtoScore solves is, with this tool, you can allow your employees to work from anywhere, anytime, because you can actually see what actions they're taking. And they don't have to carry a heavy phone with them. They can use their mobile app, right? Vonage has a great mobile app where they can make these phone calls, and the system will still pick up all of that phone activity. So they can be sitting at the beach or at a Starbucks making phone calls, talking to customers, and it's picking up all that activity. And to a manager, that shouldn't matter where they're working. It should matter, are they doing the activities? Are they on the phone? Are they having conference calls? Are they sending emails, etc.? So really looking to a voice system like Vonage that can provide the mobility, the integration, is really important in gathering this data and making the best use of these machine learning tools, right? And one of the points that I think we should definitely drive home is that machine learning, AI, those are the biggest buzzwords right now. But like I said previously, how do you take those tools and give them meaning within your business? How do you use them to better your business, to stay ahead of the game? And ProtoScore really delivers that within your organization, helps to give you insight. This data exists, but compiling it and understanding it is one of the biggest pain points, and that's really how ProtoScore came about. Is understanding this data is very difficult. Logging into the CRM and looking at all of the actions that are going on within the CRM, and then looking at mail, and then looking at voice system, and then looking at conference call. That's a lot of work. We've made it very simple. We've tied it all in. We've given you a score, and we've given you all the machine learning pieces, right, that give this data meaning. That's one of the things that I think we should definitely stress when looking at a tool like ProtoScore. Chris, do you have anything else you want to chime in on?
Hey, Denise. I think one thing that's really great to point out with it is you've emphasized the concept of actionable intelligence, being able to be proactive and being able to see exactly what's driving results or where problems are and stuff like that. And I think that's one of the big things that when people have the inevitable concerns over, like the big brother aspect of it, that's really important to emphasize is, people oftentimes when they worry about the big brother aspect of it, they worry about somebody being heavy-handed or not being understanding about what's going on. But the level of insight that ProtoScore gives really allows you to be able to actually see what's driving performance and what needs to be worked on, and gives you that ability to be able to proactively work and coach that you may not have been able to do. And so you may have let somebody go that could have been coached or trained up to a much better performer without that sort of intelligence. And so that's kind of the flip side to the inevitable concerns that some people are going to have about the big brother and the insight into it.
Yeah, no, we've definitely seen instances where the quantity of work was there, right? So, people were spending a significant amount on the phone, sending emails, calendar events, etc., but they weren't ever hitting their goals. And that's something that you probably wouldn't have been able to identify without a tool like ProtoScore, because if you're just looking at the end result, you would just see at the end of every month or quarter, hey, this employee is not hitting their goals, we should probably let them go. But in essence, like you said, this is a coachable employee, one that is doing the work but maybe needs refining in their messaging or in their delivery or in maybe the way that they close deals. So definitely a way to save good employees that just need a little help and identify the ones that maybe are not doing the work.
I would just comment on just adding to Jason's comments on you mentioned Big Brother, but really the way I see this is that so Salesforce, as sales managers, we spend a lot of time working to get our salespeople to accurately enter information into Salesforce, and where it can also take their emails and take other information and push it into Salesforce. It really, this is the exact same thing. It's doing that. It's just adding additional tools and input, and then providing better, easier reporting to allow me as a sales manager to help coach my employee and really say, okay, hey, how come this isn't happening, or what's the challenge here? And it just helps you coach those employees that are may not be as good at getting information into Salesforce and the office productivity tools that we use as they could be, or as some of their peers are.
Yeah, I mean, on top of that, I mean, the number one challenge with any CRM, including Salesforce, is how do you get people to use the darn thing and getting the data into it. And even if you're doing a great job of getting the data into it, there's all of this additional data and activity in different platforms and different silos that it's restrictive to be able to, or to try and get all of that into Salesforce, because so much of it's going to be manual data entry and stuff like that. So having a solution like ProtoScore that can plug into all of those different platforms and break down those silos and aggregate the data is a huge benefit, as anybody who's tried to train a sales team and trying to log data to Salesforce or CRM.
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely one thing to remember is, hey, you know, let your employees know the more you use the CRM, the more points you get, right? It's almost like a game, right? Use it more, get more points. And sometimes I cringe when people say the word Big Brother, only because this data already exists in these systems. We're just accessing the data and turning it into actionable analytics. That's all we're doing, right? This data is all there. It's not like we're forcing data, nor are we looking into or being invasive in ways that didn't already exist. This is just data that's existing within these different tools. And we're just giving it meaning, right? We're just giving it meaning. That's all we're doing. So, do we have any questions from our attendees today?
Yeah, we're a few minutes over, but do want to give anybody opportunity to ask any questions if you have any for us. You can just pop that in the GoToWebinar side panel. And we don't have any questions from anyone. We can probably go ahead and wrap it up, unless you guys have anything else for everybody.
Great, and you know, one thing to keep in mind, if you do have any questions or you'd like a more in-depth demo of ProtoScore or even Vonage and how it ties in, you know, feel free to reach out to us, and we'd be more than happy to do that.
Yeah, like I said, we'll be sending out emails as follow-up with links to the recording, stuff like that. So if anybody has additional questions or would like to schedule a more in-depth one-on-one demo, you can just reply to those emails, and we'll be glad to help you out.
Thank you so much, Jason. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you, everyone, for attending.
Have a great day.